It's my pleasure to be here this morning as we embark on a follow-up, really, from the National Risk Assessment that had been undertaken well over a year or so ago. Actually, just having participated in the FATF plenary at the OECD in Paris, again, with the mutual evaluations, what is low, mean, large, is your mark being marked down if you fail to have a risk-based approach. In other words, by having a risk-based approach, you would not expend resources on low risk in low risk areas. And this is very important, and that's why everyone has to be engaged, including the ministers and ministers in cabinet. Because we don't have all the resources in the world, and you don't need to spend money in an area that you don't need to spend when you have high risk areas, and that's where I'm happy the Prime Minister is here. And so we'll be able to have that discourse in cabinet. In March, as you were told, 2014, we had the National Risk Assessment, which was guided by recommendation 1, as Alicia said, of the FATF's 40 recommendations. This recommendation calls on countries to identify, assess, and understand the money laundering and terrorist financing risk. Also that we identify, assess, and ensure that we know money laundering and terrorist financing risks within our jurisdiction. And so we can take action and apply resources to mitigate those risks, as I said, based on a risk-based approach. Through the NRA, we were able to do a thorough assessment to determine what risks exist and the nature of those risks. We were also able to uncover threats on our vulnerable areas. The NRA determined our overall risk of money laundering, that the overall risk of money laundering in Guyana is high. This outcome stems from the high rate assigned to the overall national threat and vulnerability, which was rated medium high. I suspect a lot of people might be surprised at that. Regarding terrorist financing, the threat is medium. It is important for me to paint this realistic picture so that we can know where we are and the amount of work that we have to do come 2022. When we will be assessed again, if our rating is high, then we have to show what steps Guyana has undertaken to mitigate this high risk. And this is why the risk-based action plan was formulated following the completion of the NRA. It is the basis of our AML-CFT strategy. The action plan serves as a means to assist in mitigating the risk, threats, and vulnerabilities identified, and to strengthen our already existing regulatory framework. Today's seminar is a follow-up to the NRA, and follow-up is needed to ensure that the results of the NRA are not taken lightly and ultimately neglected. We are here to assess implementation efforts by the implementation efforts by the agencies that are featured in the action plan that was developed based on the NRA report. This process will help us to be more effective and efficient, as we will know where we are and what else needs to be done. Follow-up leads to follow-through, and is necessary to effectively delegate tasks within project teams. This is one critical means by which we will monitor our progress in implementing mitigating measures. Essentially, today we'll answer the question on whether we have delivered or not on the action plan items. Following up on the risk-based action plan allows us to bridge the gap between planning and implementation, which is critical. Guyana is scheduled, as I said, to be assessed in 2022, and we cannot afford to be anything but proactive. According to the FATF, the Financial Action Task Force, A country's efforts in combating money laundering and terrorist financing should focus on ensuring that, and I quote, financial systems and the broad economy are protected from the threats of money laundering and the financing of terrorism and proliferation, thereby strengthening financial sector integrity and contributing to safety and security, end of quote. Therefore, we have to demonstrate that in addition to having the legal and institutional framework, our AML-CFT system is effective and delivers on all 11 immediate outcomes which accompany the FATF's 40 recommendations. It is against the immediate outcomes that FATF will assess Guyana's efforts, ultimately determining whether our AML-CFT regime is effective. We must show effectiveness, among other things, in the area of international cooperation, supervision, that legal persons and arrangements are not being misused for money laundering and terrorist financing purposes. Financial intelligence is being utilized appropriately, and that we have money laundering and terrorist financing investigations, prosecutions, confiscations, and convictions. There is much work to be done to realize these 11 immediate outcomes. We need to execute action plan items and formulate strategies to strengthen our sectors. There must be effective information sharing at both the national and international levels, as this facilitates the detection and prevention of terrorist financing and money laundering, and must be central to our regime. Additionally, all reporting entities and DNFBPs, designated financial businesses and professions, must be effectively supervised to ensure their compliance with the AML-CFT laws and regulations. Supervisors need to become more active in their supervisory functions by providing training, doing on-site visits, and ensuring that their respective entity complies with the AML-CFT laws. To conclude, I wish to remind all of us that money laundering, terrorist financing, and proliferation financing is a global problem that affects the stability and prosperity of any country. Therefore, let us be proactive and take the necessary steps to strengthen our AML-CFT regime